Chairman Levin, Mr. Camp, members of this committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today on behalf of the Business Software Alliance. China is a critical market to the software industry. It is now the world's second largest market for the purchase of personal computers in the world, soon to overtake the U.S. It should be one of the top producers and purchasers of U.S. software in the world, but it is not. Far from it. Two Chinese practices currently stand in the way of the progress of the American software companies and their ability to tap into the promise of the market in China. One is the illegal and massive use of software that is unlicensed in China. And secondly are the indigenous innovation policies that really threaten to limit our access to the legitimate markets that exist. I will focus my comments on the issue of software theft and its consequences to the industry and to the U.S. economy, and refer you to my written testimony for our significant concerns about indigenous innovation, and associate myself with the comments of Dean Garfield also on this panel on that issue. First, let me provide a little background. America's copyright industries lead the world, and the software industry is by far the largest American copyright industry. The software and services sector employs over 2 million Americans, and we pay those Americans at wages that are 195% of the national average. Software exports contribute a $37 billion positive trade surplus for the U.S. Just last week, I was joined by 12 CEOs from our member companies who are leaders in the U.S. software industry. We met with the President's economic team, Secretary Geithner, Director Orszag, Director Summers, as well as the Attorney General and leaders of Congress. In each meeting, our CEOs conveyed the same urgent concerns. The software industry is critical to the U.S. economy, and China is a critical market for our industry's growth. Our country's ability to export jobs depends on our ability to create jobs, depends on our ability to tap into big export markets like China. Software theft is a debilitating problem in China. Nearly 4 out of every 5 programs installed on PCs in China last year were stolen, as Mr. Camp noted in his comments earlier this morning. The commercial value of that theft is $7.6 billion, and that's double what it was simply 5 years ago. And many of the leaders in our industry believe those estimates are conservative, and their levels of piracy within their companies are far higher. But even more broadly, the economic harm due to illegal software use in China has sweeping consequences in the U.S. that go far beyond the software industry. Products made in China by enterprises that use illegal software displace U.S. jobs. For example, U.S. steel manufacturers pay for their critical inputs of production, such as software, to run their factories, while their Chinese competitors do not, in too many cases. These Chinese products, then made with that illegal software, enter our market and undercut U.S. goods and services, costing U.S. jobs like the steel workers represented by Mr. Girard. And this is happening not only in the U.S., but this is happening in every market where U.S. firms compete with their Chinese counterparts. And BSA will soon be releasing a study by a group of economists to quantify the impact of this unfair competition. And preliminary results, in a very conservative fashion, suggest that the software industry in the U.S. would add over 25,000 new jobs and many times more of that for our companies in this country. So what should we do? We believe that the U.S. should develop a comprehensive results-based trade policy with China in place of the current issue-by-issue approach. The primary measure of success should be increased U.S. exports. Initial goals should be to double U.S. software exports to China over the next 2 years. And the U.S. should undertake a full examination of trade policy remedies, including whether China's practices are nullifying or impairing expected U.S. benefits under the WTO. In conclusion, we urge this committee to drive a new strategy for engaging with China on these systemic problems for which conventional rules of engagement have failed to yield a positive result. We stand ready to assist the committee in this endeavor. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.